Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to give you a few of my thoughts on this Tarot of the Magical Forest. I've had it for probably a year or so, and I really loved the whimsical artwork, but the deck had a few idiosyncrasies that made me not really want to use it extensively. I have kind of played with it a little bit. As you can see, the box is sort of banged up. And I've shuffled it and gone through it and read with it a couple of times, but I put it aside and it just dawned on me that I hadn't reviewed it for you. So this is from Lo Scarabeo. And I love Lo Scarabeo cardstock. It's very nice size. It's perfect in hand. I can actually shuffle this deck quite easily. It's sort of a plasticized finish, semi-matte. The card backs are really beautiful. It is called the Magical Forest, and I didn't see any forest within the cards themselves, but on the card back, as you can see, there are trees down here. I don't know how well you can, the lighting's sort of bad in my room here. But this itself, the card back, is what's showing you the actual forest. Now it does come with the Lo Scarabeo little white book. It's in several different languages. And so each language is the section for each language is limited. So there's a little introduction, the wonders of the forest, the oracle of the forest, some spreads, and then a little bit about each card. And the minor arcana represent the kingdoms of nature. There is the family of bunnies, and bunnies, I believe, are on the chalices cards. And then there's the family of foxes, the astute and pragmatic animals, responsible for building and collecting and distributing resources. So they choose foxes to represent pentacles. Then there's the family of frogs, and this is one of the reasons why I couldn't really connect with this deck. They have frogs representing wands or fire. And to me, I would have been okay if they would have picked salamanders, because salamander actually is the elemental associated with fire. But frogs, I don't know, to me it just didn't feel right. And then there's a family of cats. Now I would have liked if they had cats representing the fire or the wands. But in this deck, the family of cats represents swords. Now to me, swords are associated with birds. So any kind of a bird family would have been great for me to have represent swords. So that's just, initially a few of the reasons why when I went through the deck, I really loved the art, I loved the cardstock, but I didn't use it too much for those reasons that I just outlined there. So here we have just a little extra card from Lo Scarabeo. Here is the title card. And let's go through the deck here. Quick run through one by one. And this is also a good deck, a good candidate for trimming. I work full-time. I know a lot of areas in the world are on lockdown and people have stay-at-home orders, but I don't. I'm working full-time as a registered nurse. So I really don't have the time to trim. But I'm hoping to retire in the near future, and if I do, this will be one of the first decks I'm going to trim. As you can see, it's got the typical lot of busy stuff up here and at the bottom, different languages, and then there's the white border itself. I think these cards would pop a lot better without the border, but I just haven't had the time, as I said, to trim. So there's the Fool. Very cute, little doggy on wheels there. I love the color palette in these cards. I love the cuteness of the animals. Here's a bunny to represent the magician. And this deck follows very closely, or it follows very religiously, I guess I should say, the Rider-Waite system. I love this High Priestess. Very sweet. She's got her book, the pillars are there, pomegranates on the banner, and I love that it's an owl. Here is the Empress. Little piggy there. You've got the wheat down there. There's a little foresty nod there. Here we have the emperor. Love his red carpet. He's got the rams on the throne. And I like that these match. They're both piggies. The empress and the emperor. Here we have the Hierophant. Another owl. I do love that. He's got his keys. He's holding the staff. Got a couple of supplicants there. Supplicant birdies. The Lovers. Just very precious. Chariot. You really get a sense of motion with this Chariot card. I like the way it's done. Strength. I love this Hermit. Just adorable. Wheel of Fortune. Here is Justice. Now this card I was not real fond of because if you first look at it, it looks like it might be a court card, and it's very difficult to see these scales in here. But if you work with the deck, I guess you would make that connection, but that's Justice. The sword is very prominent, whereas the scales are not, and you might think of it as being one of the court cards for the swords suit. The Hanged Man. Beautiful. Love it. Look at this Death card. Temperance. The Devil. The Tower. Stars. The Moon. And I have to say, the artwork in this deck, it's not quite as bizarre, but it does remind me a little bit of Deviant Moon Tarot. But a little more whimsical and playful than Deviant Moon. Here's the Sun. I love this Sun card. Absolutely adorable. I love these sunflowers. Very cute. Judgment. Here's the World. A little more quickly through the minor arcana. So for the suit of chalices or cups, we are using bunnies, although of course there is not a bunny in this ace of chalices, but we have more of a traditional dove. 2. Very Rider-Waite, as you can see. And if it were trimmed, you wouldn't have any trouble recognizing what card was what. 7 of chalices. 8 with the walking away. 9. Look at that beautiful 10. Here is the knave or page, the knight, the queen, and the king. So those are very easy to tell apart, the queen and king of chalices. There are a couple suits here where the queen and king are almost indistinguishable. Here we have the Ace of Pentacles, and you can see the little fox hand there. We're going to have foxes representing this suit. There was a bunny hand holding the chalice. Ace, 2 of Pentacles. So very Rider-Waite. That's the 4 of Pentacles in Rider-Waite. Same exact pictorialization. The 5, 6, charitable donation there. 7, waiting. craftsmanship, accomplishment, achievement. She's even got a little bird here. It's very difficult to see the little bird, but it's there. 10 of Pentacles. There's the Knave. Knight. I like that he's on a bull. And the Queen. And the King. Look how close these are. If you trimmed this deck and took off the titles, it would be difficult to distinguish these. You'd have to remember that the Queen has the purple dress and the King doesn't have a dress. All right, now we've got the Froggy holding the wand or club. There's the 2, 3, the 4 with the garland, 5 of Wands, 6 of Wands. We've got the laurel wreath there for achievement, acclaim. 7, holding your ground, defending yourself. Here's the 8 Wands, 9, and 10. There's the Knave, the Knight, and again the Queen and King, very difficult to tell apart. Very difficult. You'd have to remember that the King does not have a long dress on, and the Queen does. And then we've also got the kitty cat here for the Queen of Wands. So you'd have to work with this deck to remember. You'd have to work pretty closely with it so you wouldn't get those confused if you had trimmed it. Of course, if it's not trimmed, you've got the title right there. Okay, moving on to the Suit of Swords. It's going to be represented by cats. As I said earlier, I don't really associate cats with swords, but to each his own. So there's the Ace of Swords. Look at that, isn't that precious? 2 of Swords. Here's the Rider-Waite 3, not even a cat in sight, just your typical 3 swords through a heart, which I just really dislike that image for the, and it's in every deck just about that you pick up, 3 swords through a heart. Here's the 4 of Swords, 5, 6 of Swords, the 7, 8, 9, and that lovely 10, ghoulish as it is. Alrighty, and then we have the court cards for Suit of Swords. I love that, Puss in Boots. Knave of Swords, Knight of Swords, and this Queen and King are a little more easy to distinguish. This is the Queen and this is the King. So this King has a purple robe, similar to the Queen in the other suit where she had a purple robe. I don't know, I find the Kings and Queens very confusing in this deck. But they are notated in the margin. You just have to really look because the print is small. So there's the Queen and King of Swords. And again, this doesn't look like a cat to me from the side. I don't know, it has more of a rabbity looking face. But anyway, it's a whimsical deck. That's my thoughts on it. I don't use this deck very much. You may enjoy it. It's very inexpensive, easy to come by. As I said, I love the cardstock, and I'm attracted to this artwork. But it's not really a deck that I can work with real often. But it's a lot of fun to flip through and to show you, and maybe you'll enjoy it. So take care and have a good afternoon.